Hi, I'm Hafiz, and this is We Are Dads Too, a podcast for fathers by fathers. And each week we will have a conversation about different aspects of fathering. We will also be speaking to experts to get their opinions. Today, my co-host Park Sen and I will be speaking to a very popular person, Suhaimi Yusof.
Oh no, very popular.
Yes. All right, I think...
President yet lah.
Okay.
President of Chicken Association.
No pressure.
Maybe,
No pressure.
No pressure.
Right,
Just be
so...
yourself.
I mean, he needs no introduction.
Yeah, you do.
You know, okay?
Yeah.
Tell us about things that we don't know about
Oh, I
you.
introduce myself. Okay,
Yes,
okay,
please.
Yes, some people call me Sergeant Dola, some people call me Jojo Joget. My name is Suhaimi. Please, one auntie in Sengkang call me Tsunami. So I'm not Tsunami. Please, I may call Tsunami, but I'm not Tsunami. Anyway, I'm also a father. Some people call it dad. Dad basically to me is a rank, and I think dad is do all duties.
Oh,
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, all
Alright,
duties
that's new,
must be
that's new.
performed. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's what not all that thing.
Yeah.
They think that mom do all duties.
I think we can look at when we talk about rank. I think basically, okay, little background lah. Background. In the army, I was actually a military officer, so I'm also trained in the leadership area. And if you're talking about the formation of the army itself, so you have platoon commander and then you have the sergeant. Of course, when you have the sergeant running around to make sure all the ration and with the men and all that are ready, but at the same time, we may not, we shouldn't discount that the platoon commander is the one that's overall in charge of things. So I think setting the objectives, having a little vision, applies to the platoon commander as well as the company commander. So if anything goes wrong, he's accountable. So to me, a dad or father should be like a platoon commander or anything you call it.
okay. Get the
So
idea.
in general, yeah, I mean, men go to war. We've seen battles time and again, World War One, World War Two. While the man goes to war, the women would then be mobilized to go to the factory to make sure that the ammunition and the supplies are done. So that is a beautiful combination of how we complement one another. So when we say that all duties means certain physical duties we have to do, certain mentality we have to foresee, but at the same time, we also lead a nice platoon or company. And then, of course, you pay respect and get your subordinate involved. So to me, the mother is the sergeant of the family. But what if the sergeant and the platoon commander get into trouble when they start to disagree with one another? The whole entire platoon just break down. We lose the war. We lose the battle. That's it. It's as simple as that analogy. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Can we borrow it?
Of course, by all means, it's
Okay.
free. I don't patent the army thing anyway. Yeah, so I guess I mean it boils down to all other uniform groups as well. I think to understand the roles and to understand the whatever capacity that we may perform, I think the first place that I always want to look at is basically the uniform group because it's an organizational structure, and then apply it in your civilian life. And then we know the rules and we know the laws and we know the rights and everything. So platoon commander also takes care of the sergeant to make sure that the sergeant is always high morale. So in this case, it is the leadership of the father that eventually makes the mother even more high morale and better performing for the family. Yeah, because you protect. We need to protect. I'm here to protect you. There's no, that's
That
on
sounds
Terminator.
like,
My mission is to
Terminator.
protect you. Terminator. I'm a T-1000.
Wow.
Yeah, you can pick up from all kinds of ideas and all kinds of inspiration from movies, from religious books, from everywhere. For us, basically, we live in a world where we have to open our eyes, our ears, and start to understand our role by looking at the things around us. I think that's me. So in my spare part, in my spare time, not spare parts. In my spare time, I do like to read books. I don't borrow books. I bought books. Every month I will buy 3 books and I will finish it off. So I have to
What kind of books? Fiction, non-fiction?
all kinds of books, especially when it comes to if you look at it from the TV point of view, it's always documentaries, factual and stuff like that. And I read from adults books to all the ways to children's books. I used to go
And
to
comics?
Bras Basah.
Where do you get your comedy lines from?
No, not really. Because when I read books, it's like an escapism for me.
Okay.
Because if I read comic books, I read something funny, it's work for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I do other things. I read other stuff. I have two sides of me. I think probably when I go down to many, many years ago, when I was a company commander, of course I have to be serious with my mission. Otherwise, my soldiers will not take me seriously. That's something which I think incredible Hulk. That's why he's green also. Huh? You will want to know the other side of me. You want to know my serious side. So we're serious when it comes to a lot of these roles and duties. So therefore, so I kind of like switch. So I use humor basically as a nice way to, build rapport. It's a bridge. So to me, I started to use that when I was in secondary 3. I was a very shy boy, so I realized that after performing for Teachers' Day, then I realized that joke was something that I could use to actually break down barriers, even with my strict school principal. So I start to use
But at the
that.
right time, of course.
And of course, when we come to Islamic education, there is also a joke. The prophets used to always joke and smile. And basically, there's a companion who always come forward to Rasulullah, Prophet Muhammad, and said that you're a joker. And Rasulullah said, Na'am. So joke is a sunnah. Joke is a sunnah. Not many people know that because can you imagine if husband and wife don't joke? That's a very pretty serious husband and wife relationship, isn't it? So everybody needs a little bit of humor. And when it comes to humor, of course, the sunnah of joke is just two things. Don't tell lies and do not humiliate others or don't cause hurt upon others. That's the sunnah of the Prophet. So for me, it's smile, and I did a couple of reading on it, and we did a study. And in fact, I was combining with Ustaz Jamaluddin Abdul Wahab of Masjid Darul Ghufran to come up with the 8 volume of the Sunnah of Jokes book. Soon to be published, I don't know, someday, hopefully.
Right. And you're part of it?
Of course, Ustaz Jamaluddin can't tell jokes. I tell jokes.
Okay. Right. Anyway, a bit of translation. The Sunnah is basically the way of the Prophet Muhammad.
Yes, the prophetic tradition.
Yeah.
Because it's a complete example. So I think in Islam itself, we are encouraged to have joke, but of course the joke has to be respectable. And being a prophet, he is the best example to all of us. So therefore, even jokes are not left out. So I think there's a lot of scholars and all that they've been studying, like lawyers, you don't expect them to study jokes, isn't it? But I pay attention to this, so I become a specialist when it comes to jokes.
You're pretty good at it. That's wonderful. Yeah. Yep. Coming back to your army analogy, I can see why you say that the father is like the platoon commander. I think there might be a danger. I mean, of course, we have to be careful that the father who tries to play that role as platoon commander doesn't end up to be an authoritarian father. You know what I mean?
I think
so he has to learn to be an authoritative father instead.
From my own experience, I think if you try to be regimental, even with your platoon soldiers, they won't even bother to look at your face. A leader should be motivational, inspirational, and people would do and die for you. So this is very, very important in this area. Leader does not mean, we're like always exposed to certain types of news, certain types of movies, and we thought like leaders are basically meaning this and firm and, no nonsense kind of stuff. No, leader is the one that is to be not feared because of fear, but feared because of respect. And in the army, we always thought to be command. Respect is not commanded. Respect is earned.
Earned, yes.
Yeah. I mean, we're also accountable with the men and all that. So back in those days, me and my men, we're basically like buddies until today. Some of us, we're like buddies. So I don't look at them as soldiers or some non-educated kids running around. No, I think basically what we need to do is actually establish a relationship, and there's much respect in there. So I think this boils down to our definition or our imagination of what army. Everybody take a look at army. There's some bad examples running around, and then everybody generalize that's it. But to me, it's not. To me, is the only reason for victory is because of the motivational and inspirational figure as a leader. And that is the most effective leadership. And of course, this one, we have to go through certain types of training, which I think all fathers must go. It's a leadership training, whether you want to be a popular leader or you want to be an effective leader. Yeah.
You're talking about fathers must go through training. The reality is we don't. I mean, we are given this role.
Yeah.
We're not going to any course. I mean, maybe a few days or a few hours of course, but not, extensive course. And I think most of us learn fathering skills through experience.
I think probably because to me, what is important is why I set up with my own family. I say everything begins from home. Attending courses is basically to revise or to add on certain things that you may left out. But I think it starts from home. If you want your son to be a very effective father, you have to start from home. The first teacher or the lecturer is actually the father and the mother. Yeah. And it is stated clearly in the Quran where if anything goes wrong with their children, it is the father and the mother who did that, because you're the first teacher. Monkey see, monkey do. When they're young, they basically look at the things you do. I have a friend, or not a friend, he's just a young lad. He said he had a problem with his child. Whenever he brought his child anywhere for holidays, what happened is the child don't even bother about the things around him, but basically just want to complain when there's a lack of Wi-Fi. So I said, that is a problem you started, because when the kid was young and you don't feel like you need to do some extra duty to take care of the kid properly, so you just give him the iPad. And then basically that 2, 3, 4 years of that formation years, when you're like 2 years old, 3, 4, 5 years old.
Formative years.
Yeah, and those are the period where your brain start to have this neurological development, and you begin to have this iPad or this whatever it is with you. And then, but by the time it establishes itself, and because the father didn't do anything, because it's like easy where they just give iPad, and then me and the mother.
It's called a digital nanny.
Yeah. So I guess it's looking inside what's happening to us. We make the mistakes. It's very easy to blame here and there and everywhere. It's very easy to blame all the boring lectures. This fella, I don't know what he's talking about. But we all have to start looking within ourselves. What went wrong with us?
Yeah, but again, not many people find it easy to look inside. So, based on what experience, because you said just now that you started, I mean, to know that Suhaimi Yusof was once a shy boy, I can't believe her. But again,
absolutely,
that transformation, right? What made you change? I think it's something that you want to share with others. All of us can change for the better. So, what is it that made you change, and how it can sustain it?
I think the first thing that we need to do is basically read. Of course, a lot of people don't like to read. That's the first command anyway. The first word, read. The first word that came down from the Holy Quran. So the first word and the first instruction is to read. Now, can you imagine you can't even follow the first word, much less follow the other instructions, right? That's one. I mean, if it is difficult to read, then I guess, I can understand. You give someone a 20-page book, you can fall asleep over 3 weeks. Cannot even finish the book, because we don't train ourselves with it. Reading is something that we need to nurture in ourselves. When my kids were young, of course, we all as fathers, we all take a look at the kids and say, hey, go and do your homework, do some reading. But one day when I began to pick up reading, I realized that I didn't have to tell my kids to read, because eventually, again, like I said, monkey see, monkey do. Not calling the children monkey, but it's the imitating mimicry behavior pattern that eventually they look up at you as the first hero and the first heroine of the house, and whatever that you do has a great influencer. Today, people talking about influencer here, influencer there. No, father, mother is the first influencer in the house. If you fail to influence, somebody else will. So that's the first step. I think if you have difficulty, if anyone has any difficulty to have this reading habit, then my suggestion is to question things around you. We learn by questioning. We don't learn by having answers. Yeah, so when I was much younger, I always ask questions, which I started in my Instagram, this thing called questions without answers. Yeah, soalan-soalan tak ada jawapan. Yeah, why is this 5 fingers perfect? You add in 1 finger, it's not It's not perfect. You
Yeah.
take away. So these are questions which have no answers. But then again, there are many questions that can either have answers or begin to open up to more questions. First and foremost is like, why are we here? Why are we as a human being? Why am I not a tree? Why do I have to be a human and not be a cat? Like the crow and everything else. The crow fly every morning, have no clue what to eat and what to do, and no CPF. But
No
the
worries.
crow looks very healthy
Uh,
and stout, like
and maybe
cats and all
happier.
that. Happier, maybe. Yeah. So I guess the question then begs another question. Why am I here? And what am I supposed to do? Right? So the minute we want to do things and we want to study, like for example, I just give a little, because you put 1 hour for my talk. I thought probably going to be like 100 hours one day.
No problem. We love it.
I think back in school, before we become a husband or a father or even a mother, back in school, I always ask this question: why do we learn algebra? Do you go to the mama shop and then you go and buy your
Find
sweets?
X.
Yeah, find X and then whatever, can I slap again? But do you go to any shops and then buy something and then give a $10 and say, Uncle, can you calculate based on algebra,
What's the square root of 10?
Y and X, and then you find the value of X and then you pass me back? We don't, right? So the big question, when I was invited to some school talks, not school talks, assembly talks, I said this question is referred to the teachers. If the teachers can answer this question, you're in good hands. Question is, why do you learn algebra when you don't use algebra in part of your life, right? And the next question, so question begs any question, right? The next question is, do you think algebra is mathematics? Ta-da! I'm not even talking about history here. I'm saying that, okay, now if you're not well versed with algebra, that's fine. I'm just going through the exercise. Huh? So supposedly, I'm just going to ask you two questions. Let's say 1A plus 1A equals to, just answer, don't worry, we forget about algebra. 2A, right? Yeah. And then A times A equals to
A square.
A square. Okay, let me stop you there for a while. Let me pedal back. Okay. So when you have 1 plus 1, or say 1A plus 1A, we say 2A. Okay. Here's the problem. 1 plus 1 equals to 2. I agree. Because that's how it is, the value, right? But A plus A doesn't give you A or A square. The problem is 1 plus 1. 1 is a numerical, it's a number. So you add up 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Okay. A plus A equals to A.
Yeah.
It's alphabet.
Yeah.
It's alphabet. And the reason why we do it this way, as we go in deeper, and then we take a look, 1 plus 1 numerical, that's logic. That's logical. A plus A, something is telling you is A, or A times A equals to A squared. Something else is telling you. It's not your logical capacity. It's not your mind. It's your heart, your emotion. So A plus A, you know the rules is R, but you say A anyway. You say A square anyway. That goes to show, actually, algebra doesn't teach you mathematics. Algebra is teaching you there are two ways to solve life's problem. Use the logical capacity or use the emotional capacity. Women are generally emotional in nature, and men are mostly logical. So if men and women, husband and wife start to argue, you must switch whether you want to talk logical or you want to go emotional. Because if you have logic and emotion debating one another, it will never end. So there you go. So I said to the teachers that, you see, algebra is the art of using mathematics as the cover, but it is actually teaching you psychology and EQ and IQ. Ta-da! If we understand the basic terms, then everything else will fall into place. That's my take, basically. I'm not a
That's an interesting
mathematician.
view.
I'm not a scientist. But I'm just like, you see, when you start to question things, I always ask my teacher, why do we learn algebra? Who's algebra? Who's algebra? What is this? Okay, we don't want to know the history, but then again, if it is not important, then why do schools teach in schools as part of the school curriculum? There must be something there. So eventually we pass, we get some marks, and then we tell our kids, well done. But this is what I explained to my children. I said, do you know the intention of why you study algebra? Do you know why you study science? So as a father or a mother, I begin to explain this, and then it makes it easy for the kids to go to school, and then it makes it easier for the teacher to teach. So this is, no matter how busy we are, but being a father, I would say we need to read, because a reader is a leader. And we need to question, not to ask a trivial question. Today, a lot of people like to ask trivial questions like, who's the lady at the KTV, right? Those kind of things. You kepo for the wrong reasons. We have this kepo software in us. Yeah. We need to use the kepo to its maximum capacity for the right thing at the right time. So this is a huge problem because people like trivias. People like trivias and they don't think of this, when you sleep, when you talk to your wife, you talk to your children. I always ask my wife, what do you think other couples are talking about at this point when we're talking about this? And then sooner or later, when we keep talking about this, you begin to ask certain questions, and that helps your leadership. That helps me as a father to understand where's my mission. I need to get my kids, to move. And I told my kids, the best thing that I will ever leave you with is knowledge. Yeah, I will never leave you with millions of dollars. You will be damaged, but I leave you with knowledge, because with knowledge, you just continue to expand. And with knowledge, throw us in any island, we can still survive. We can still live. Put me in Singapore, it doesn't matter. Put me in another country, it doesn't matter, because the whole powerful thing is the mind is inquisitive enough to understand the term. So I guess that's my
wonderful
lecture. Talk a lot. See lah, you problem lah. You give me microphone, I cannot stop talking. Sorry, questions.
Just now you mentioned that the father, and the mother are the influencers, the first influencers of every child.
Absolutely.
Right? So if I may, I want to ask you, how much are you like your father?
Every bit of it. I can't be like my father, because I think everybody, even twins, are two separate
personalities. Yes, so I've asked how much.
Yeah? But I think there's a heavy influence when it comes to my father. He got married at the age 25, so I got married at the age of 25. He became an imam at the age of 40. So I left MediaCorp, started my own business at 33, and I settled down with the company at 40. And then, of course, he passed on at the age of 63, and I hope I will be too.
You hope you will be or not be?
I will pass, because this is the age of the Prophet, 63 years old. So when we know the age and the secrets of the age, this is what my father told me, and this is what he taught me from a book, because there's always the secrets of age. We were 25, and then 40, and then 53, and then 63. So it's not like exactly we're asking to live our life in accordance to how the Prophet lived, but I guess it gives you a mark of what you need to achieve. What you need to achieve when you're age 25? What do you need to do when you are 40? Because it is mentioned that you have, when you come to the age of 40, it's called the age of understanding. So I came up with my own analogy to make it easier, because what we'll do is, because usually that's what my father did, because there are some complicated issues and stuff that you cannot understand when you're kids, right? So what he did was to break it down simpler, because when you talk to kids, you got to talk like, children's language a little bit. And then as they grow older, and then he will speak to us a bit more maturely. And that's exactly what I did. There are certain good examples that is practiced at home that is being done. So, for example, I do have my own chat group, not online chat group, real chat group with my children. Every Friday night, we will have what we call family meeting update. And then each one will tell about 3 achievements, and each one will identify 3 failures. And then what do we do with it? I say, we're not having every Friday night and to solve some issues in our life, but it does give a powerful communication, because that's what my father taught me, that communication is everything. And I guess eventually when I grew up and matured, I guess I believe in that. So I try to do what he did because he likes to talk to the children. So now I love to talk to my children. And the only reason why we can communicate effectively is because you speak in a language, you try to understand them, and then they try to understand you, and there's always this two-way traffic. So in that sense, yeah, I am like my father in that sense. But then
was he a reader?
Oh yes, because I pick up reading habits from him. I mean, from young, when I was in primary school and all that, I don't quite enjoy textbooks.
What do you read? What do you read?
Whatever it is inside his cabinet, I read.
Oh.
And that's the reason why I read everything. I read the Bible. I read every Bible, King James Version, Standard Revised Version. I do read Talmud, the Jewish book, and I do go around even to some Buddhist temples, and I say, free publication, thank you, let's take it. So I have a whole entire, I had to rent extra storage space just to keep my books. This is something which I do not display in public. People do not know, they don't see me with books, but to me this is my escapism and my escapade, because I think reading books allows me to freely mix around with people, because people who write books, they are in deep thoughts. So I get to go inside their minds and thoughts and then their perspective about certain things. And I would read a lot of stuff, and sometimes it's the same subject. And I just, as simple as primary school kids' books, Beras Basah Complex, always, sometimes when they lelong some books, probably going about $1, 150 cent, $1.50. So I would just go there and buy, because I say, if primary 3 kids can understand this science, I can understand. So microbiological studies, I'm not a scientist, but I love reading. When you want to read, nobody can tell you, hey, you only do certain jobs. No, I'm a human. Dynamism. We have to realize that humans are dynamic. We are able to understand things. We can fly, we can swim. If you ask the whale, they can't walk. If you ask the birds, some birds can swim, like penguin, but penguin cannot fly. But we can do all the things that they have done. They did. So with that, I don't know. I just read everything and anything. You can ask me any question about any books, and I will tell you what it is right now on the spot.
All right, we'll take a break and we'll come back with Suhaimi.
Okay.
All right, we're back with Suhaimi in this very, very interesting conversation. So you are very much like your father, all right? And how are your sons and your children like you?
They have 3 different personalities. They got 3 kids. So, in fact, they have the exposure that I give them. My eldest one, 26, he's actually working for me. Just part of the whole production, because he wanted to actually be involved in the media. And I told him that, back in my days, there were just MediaCorp. Today, there's MediaCorp and this. So I can tell you the 50% of what it is. And then the balance 50% we have to explore, because it's continuation, evolution that continues within the media world. And I think each one of them pick up different skills. So the eldest one, he has his own personality. He's a bit more patient compared to me. But at the same time, he's very technically inclined, and he's good with his hands. He's good with his cameras and stuff like that. My daughter picked up, I love drawing as well. I can draw freehands and stuff like that when I was a kid. And of course, she had that skill. So that's also an abstract skill. And then my youngest one, he basically have this, sometimes when I produce stuff, when I produce TV programs, then I'm not only doing acting, I'm also a producer. Again, that part also, because too much. Later, people say, Suhaimi do this. You do everything. No, I've been producing since 2002 for TV programs. And I actually self-taught myself before I went for courses. So that when I attend, the lecturer just tell me a couple of things I can understand, and then you just breeze through the course. That's a tip for some people. Don't go to course and then you start from scratch or zero. The best you can do is basically spend a couple of days or a week before you attend that course by pre-reading. Pre-reading or find certain facts or try to make sense of whatever you're trying to study. And then when you attend the course, suddenly
Some things will sound familiar to you.
yeah, and then you just like go into like a rhythm with the song, something like that. So the young one, he has this instinct when it comes to producing and all that. But all three of them actually can tell jokes quite good.
So it's in the genes, huh?
I don't know whether
I can
joke
imagine
genes,
your family is always laughing.
Yes, but at the same time, quite firm as a father because you have to have a discipline. I mean, to me, just like how I would tell my my army camp last time, they say, you want me to be the most angelic guy in the world, by all means, or you can turn me into the most evil monster you ever imagine. It's up to you because whatever and however you behave, that's how I will behave accordingly because I got the two sides of the coins. So to my kids, when it comes to certain things, we do say that you do not joke on certain things. Certain things is cannot forbidden. Yeah. You cannot joke on divorce matter. You don't make fun of elderly people or stuff like that. But other than that, you're free to go. You're free to do whatever it is. You can tell me jokes and stuff like that. So we do have fun because I think this is part of the communication process. Because I don't want my children to look at me as a monster. I want them to look at me as a father. Father not equals to monster.
Yep. Yeah. One starts with an F, one starts with an M.
I think being, I would call it a personality. You have several personas out there, and then you have to play some kind of persona.
Sometimes people call me crazy. I got like a couple of mentality problems here. Because different persona, different.
Correct. But I think it's important to be consistent, right? And when you communicate with your children, they know actually this is my father. This is not Sergeant Dola or somebody else. So how do you manage that? That means you align all this, not but not having a conflict.
You see, the thing is when people do prata, doesn't mean he eat prata every day. It is too much that you try to do other things other than prata. The same goes for. Do you know that our home we seldom watch TV?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because why?
Do you have a TV at home?
Of course I do. I got a 75-inch TV. Okay. I got one more 55-inch TV in the room. Lot of and my kids got three screens. But the thing is, because they've seen me on TV, I mean, for the first few years, hey, you get excited when you go into TV. You get excited when you do podcast, right?
Yeah.
But we'll come back about 4 years from now. And it's like podcast again.
Okay.
You always get excited. We're like kids, we go like we're excited for the first few months, and then after that, you grow tired of the toys. So to me, my whole entire life is about media. I started when I was 16 years old. So can you imagine, like 32 years I've been in this industry, and my kids have grown up watching me and doing this and doing that. So to them, it's like they're living with. To me, I'm not a celebrity at home. I'm just a man. I'm a human being. I do the same thing. I eat fruits. I go to toilets. I do stuff. I get angry. I get sad and things like that. So, but what I did was when my kids were young, I did not go to school if there is any teachers meeting and all. Usually I will get the mother to do it. You know why? Because it won't be my kids. It will be me on assessment.
Okay. You'll be distracted.
So many other parents. So I try to not to go to the teacher. I think to me, for the teacher, they can just like contact directly and then we can talk if the problem, serious problem. But I think they have grown out of it, and I want them to accept me as a person, and that's how you design how your family wants to be. So I told my kids, number one, being a celebrity is no different than being a plumber or a con man, because it's a job. I mean, what's the glamorous part of it? What is there to celebrate anyway? Yeah.
No, so when you mention about this, it reminds me of the word authentic. When you talk leadership, that means you must be yourself, right? And for you to not only have, good self-awareness, but for
Yeah.
people to benefit from your presence.
Of course, even if you ask a cat, would you like to be a lion? I'm a cat now. So
They have better self-awareness.
it's more organic when you are that particular form. So again, I go back to the point where to me, the most important thing in life is basically to know and understand the definition. If you don't understand the definition, nothing else will follow through.
The meaning of things.
The action will be wrong because the definition is important. If somebody say this is char kway teow, and then you say no, that's rojak. You see, you're gonna get the wrong utensils. You're gonna eat it the wrong way. So definition is important. So to me, when people ask me what do, I say I'm a full-time human being.
Okay, that's
Everything
basic,
else is just sideline.
all right. Can I borrow that also?
Go ahead. It's
Yeah.
easier. It's easier for us to conduct our life. And then when I have family and kids, I don't see my kids and family as something that I want to leave a legacy of taking over my business. I don't see them as an asset. I don't see them as a liability. I see them as another human being. It's just me and the other me. So at the end of the day, there's the human dynamism, human relationship, and it's more organic that way. Because when you start to see kids as some kind of other forms other than kids,
your
as human,
extension or an
Yeah.
extension of yourself, trying to there's some people,
Yeah.
some parents who do this, try to live their dreams that they couldn't fulfill in their own lives, through their children.
Yeah,
It puts a lot of pressure on the kids.
it's going to be quite a bad dream, lah.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, rather
No, it's a
than
dream for the parent and nightmare for the children.
yeah, I think probably now technology has evolved so well. I think it's time you want to do that. Go ahead, just clone yourself, and then there's another you, mini me or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think this is also respecting the aspirations of every person. So if you take a look at your kids as human beings, they do have their own aspiration, preferences. They need some space, just like how you needed some space. And what are we doing today? We took a leave from our wives to actually come together, and instead of hanging out at a coffee shop and talk nonsense, at least what are you doing? Pakcik podcast lah.
Yes.
So yeah. So I guess it starts off with this another human being who's going to evolve, grow up, and what we need to do basically, because parents and fathers especially have experiences, because most of the time, I think if we take a look at the role again, the definition is like platoon commander. He goes out, he fought the battle, he returns. So father, the same. He goes out, fight the world, fight the dragon out there, while the mother takes care of the HQ, the headquarters. So in terms of wound, in terms of injury, in terms of monster and dragons, the father would have this inside their mind. And this could be a very valuable asset for kids to learn, because when they're much younger, they will hang out with the mothers, but that doesn't mean the mothers will take over, everything. But the mothers would have this bonding when they were much kids, when the maturity and their mind start to grow at the age of 12, 13, that's where I think, according to psychologists and according to scientists also, our brains only becomes a little bit more fully functional when we reach about 12 to 13 years old.
Yeah, at the onset of puberty.
Yeah, because before that, we do have imaginary friends, because our brain has fully developed, but our thoughts is not. Our thoughts is only coming to maturity during that puberty stage. But during our lifetime as a kid, we used to have 50% imaginary and 50% factual. And that's the reason why the mother plays a very important part, because the logical part is not developed yet, but they need emotional support. So when they come to the age of puberty, they start to think rationally. And then this is where the father play a major role in saying, okay, come with me if you want to live. Let me show you how it's done, how you fight the war, how do you fight the fire, how do you put out, how you relax, things like that. So it's a very major role. So it doesn't mean that when, I think the misunderstood motion is always when the father leave everything for the mother to take care. And then when it comes to secondary school, the father also forget about it. Because you ask any family, generally, not all, but generally, mostly, when it comes to mathematics problems, it's always like, father, can you do this? It's not the mother. The mother can actually teach other things, That shows something that is particularly a skill when it comes to two gender. I mean, the father and the mother. So this is the role that we need to understand.
So hearing
and
from you,
capacity.
it sounds like your wife was a homemaker.
She was working with the LTA, and then she left, and then she came to help me with the business. And then come 2008, I told her this: real man will have his wife not even have to work. So I brought my wife back home.
Well, that's a quote by Suhaimi Yusof.
Yeah. I say a real man performs that his wife doesn't have to work. She can work if she wants to. But she's feeling so good that she feels motivated, and now my home looks even more beautiful. Because woman, the empowerment is basically domestic. We have home minister.
Yeah, although some women may disagree, but
They can disagree.
definitely, I mean, you have lived that moment, and I'm sure your wife is happier.
For centuries, I think sometimes when people begin to, I don't know what materials they read, but then again, it's not about argument of thoughts. It's what's organic, what's nature, right? So you ask any woman, the dream of any woman, if you have a rich husband, for example, I'm not saying I'm rich, but you have a more effective person in leader, and you have an option. You ask every woman, that's the dream of every single woman on planet Earth. If you are given an option to work or not to work, that's a beautiful option. But what happened today is because the leadership falters. So before being a father, you had to be an effective husband. So I told my wife, my wife didn't ask to stop working and be a housewife or whatever. I said, so as a leader of the unit, I told my wife, real man bring his wife home. You don't have to work. If you want, we take a look and see whether it's safe for you to go out. But if you do not wish, by all means, you don't have to work. And since 2008 till now, she has not been working. She has been working for me at home.
Okay.
Working in the business as well, or no?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
And you really make sure that it is strictly followed like that?
Yeah, because I think this is a dream of every husband to be the heroic figure. And I said it's not just about saying it, but I think I had to plan for it. And I plan, and there you go. And it's a tough decision, because people will think that, hey, how's the economy? When the wife is not working now, you need two, husband and wife. So I sat down with some of my former schoolmates and all that. So their wives are all working. I said, this is an option. This is the day when people, just not going back to the kampong days. The kampong days, probably some people had it misunderstood as well. And when they see women as inferior, where women, no point of educating them. I say it's not even kampong lah. Back then, we don't have much function and things around us. But then again, today, when we talk about this, we have to take a look like, what is the... Of course, when you start to identify all these factors and points, because the reason is, I want my wife to look at me as a superhero. And here I am. This is the superhero who saved Rapunzel, let down your hair. No. So if she takes a look at me as a hero, and I take a look at her as the princess that has the palace, not the kitchen or those small tiny atap house. This one is, you be in a palace. You stay in a palace. I mean, the palace can be your own creation. I think it works both ways, both win-win, because at the end of the day...
That's if the wife wants to do that, is open to do that. According to, I think by now it's 75% of families in Singapore are dual earners. It means both husband and wife at least have a part-time job and one full-time job. So I guess it's the narrative out there, that women are encouraged to pursue some career because now they're educated as the men, and they also have dreams and ambitions and want certain status and things like that. So I guess it really depends on the individual. If
Well,
they have that desire and that aspiration, I think they have all the means and the rights, to pursue them.
that's the problem today. I think that's the reason why we talk about the father that has no solution to this. Because we keep saying the what if. What if is a question that never ends. Because if everybody were to live in this world and then everybody is subjected to their own opinion, we'll never have this world. Right? At the end of the day, there must be some kind of a universal guideline. And to me, nothing beats going back to the real organic stuff. And I think my grandfather, grandmother, my mother didn't have problem with that, and they lead a very happy life. I think why change something when it's good, isn't it? But today, because of the excess of information, to me, I always say, I always keep telling myself, reminding myself that information does not make someone smart.
Just knowledgeable.
Yeah. It does not make knowledgeable, also does not make someone wise.
True.
Yeah. So I guess we're talking about wisdom. I mean, when people talking about ideologies and woman today, modern day, what's the difference between a woman today and 10,000 years ago? A woman is a woman.
No, that's why I say there's a narrative, and that's the narrative
Sure.
influences the minds.
The best part is always like 95% likes to work and 5% they do that make the money work, right? So near 75% would like to work that way. Oh, that's fine. I would like to belong to that 35%. And I think if anyone wants to talk, well, welcome to talk to my wife. If she's seeing like suffering, in fact, she got so much time that she's now and I probably had to follow her brisk walking. She actually inspired when she's not under the pressure of earning income, not under the pressure because somebody is taking care of that. And I'm not saying I'm rich, and that is also something which also another misunderstanding. You don't have to have a lot of money to be rich. You just need to know how to move the cash flow, lah, brother. So when you know how to manage this,
spend within your means.
Yeah, because as a leader of the family, these are some of the missions and objectives and some of the imagination that you have, because you want your house to be like as peaceful as a country, right? So if everybody has their own idea of doing things, then I think Singapore will never be Singapore. We will always have troubles because everybody will like park their car anywhere. Anybody would just like come in and steal and do stuff like that. But because we have a common goal, so it's much easier for us to administer. The same goes for the family. So somebody got to be firm. Somebody got to take a leadership role there. And in this case, I think maybe some wives are a bit more prominent and dominant than the husband. But then again, a smart woman is always a person who allows the man to take some form of a leadership, allow him as a space. He's not as strong as somebody else out there, but yet being a woman of substance, always allows space for the husband to lead. Because men, basically, they don't talk that much. There are not many men also talk like me. A lot talking. One question, talk a lot.
So because that's one of the problem. Actually, why we have this podcast? Because men are not talking.
Yeah, the reason is, because I guess it's again, men, go back to reading. When you read, you form structure,
Opinions
sentence, and opinions, and then we don't just talk about Liverpool versus Manchester United. We don't talk about this. When it comes to political statements, it's always like disagree with this, disagree with that. But for me, it's like okay, you can talk about that, but why talk things when there's no solutions? Why talk things when you can't control stuff, right? So I guess that's supposed to be what men are supposed to be talking, to be doing. And then if we lack the skill to communicate, then be prepared that your family will break down, and they will break down quietly like you.
Okay, last question. What do you think is the most important thing about fatherhood?
Fatherhood is leader. You cannot deny. You must take accountability. Before being a father, you need to ask a question: why do you have children? not to duplicate yourself, because children are not yours in the first place. They don't belong to you. Family matters only happen when people say blood is thicker than water, right? Yeah, sure. But there are instances, cases where children disown their parents and parents cannot communicate, because I lived through, not only our experiences, but among some of my friends, because they do not speak or communicate with the kids. Because simply they say, okay, my job is basically bring the
Bacon home.
Or bread, and then that's it. That's my job. I'm tired already, and don't disturb me. That is a simplistic way of doing it, lah. In the Malay term, we call it like there is a big difference between taking care and educating. Yeah, in educating, didik, and in Malay, the word taking care is pelihara. Pelihara, taking care. Didik is educating. You can take care of a herd of sheep, but you can only teach them one letter. They cannot even say B. So children is educating them, transforming them, helping them. You don't help sheep. You help another human being. If that can be understood as a father, then you're on a mission. And before we leave this world, that is a legacy that will continue to shine, because if your children become effective leader, you will have an effective generation. And the father is also, just one more point to add, is the symbol of morality, because you need to educate morality, the shyness in a lady, the shyness in men as well. You need to be the one that apply this law. You're the president. President don't sign the letter, you cannot go out of this country. But the president of the family don't just come home and lepak lah. A president must take a look that the whole country is having high. When I talk about morality, we're talking about morality first, then comes education, because that's only one part of morality, and then everybody will have a high morale. And you're the one that is the guardian of safety, to ensure that there's a political stability in your family. And at the end of the day, the father is not given a country. The father is given one small kingdom, which is your family. If you cannot take care of the family, forget about becoming a teacher, a policeman, every civil servant, and forget about being a human being at the end of the day, because it completes your mission. Yeah. So before that, you're just like trying to do best for yourself. But when you have a family, I think it upgrades the mission. And that's the reason why I'll come back to the officer part. Officer, go on a mission, ready and willing to die for the country. And that's
duty
why
for honor.
Duty, honor, country. And that's the reason why officer has officer's mess. Private soldier don't have. Because why? We'll be the first one to die. And we'll do it out of pride. So as a father, you need to be an officer. And then you lead. Yeah. And make your wife happy. Make your kids happy.
Wow. Thank you, Suhaimi.
Wow. Now we know Suhaimi more.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure it's unplugged a lot of gems, and I think we need to reflect some of it. It may be hard hitting at a certain point, but I think we need to really look some of the things that you say. I mean,
Thank you.
like when we know Suhaimi Yusof, as a comedian, I mean, comedy, right? Whatever you
Of
say,
course,
it seems to be just disappear.
But
But I think in comedy also, I believe there are a lot of things that.
yes.
Because there are stories in comedy. There are a lot of lessons to be learned in comedy.
A lot. That's one of the best way. I think a friend of mine is actually Mr. Desmond Tan. He's my bunkmate. He's the MP now. We used to joke around and do things lah. Because at the end of the day, he also realized that Singaporeans sometimes we are too stiff lah. We're too serious. So, but then jokes lighten up the mood, and I think at the point of crisis, there are many parties who I work with. For example, there's no sensitive things when it comes to us, because at the end of the day, when there's racial tensions, like the unhappiness with the PA and stuff like that, because so I turn it into a light-hearted, not say trivialize or make a joke out of it, but you put in a little bit of that softness into the whole matter, then people tend to be a bit more relaxed. Then they discuss a bit more maturedly, because when you have the ability to laugh at yourself, then you're not so tensed up. Back then, I think when people that's also father lah. Father also must tell joke, but not over joke. And then when you tell joke, there are different categories of joke. There's slapstick joke, they're playing with words, they're intellectual jokes. And if you ask any comedians, Gurmit Singh, Kumar, Fakafas, they are all readers. We need to read a lot to have a lot of materials in our head. And that's the reason why people only see the comedy part, but they never see that these people are also readers. Yeah.
And not only that, you have to prepare most of the things that you say, right?
Generally, when you're starting off, yes. But then again, when the phrases become part of your mind, and then you start to form, because I had like 15 years in radio, so and 32 years of doing TV. So I think to me, I don't have to see even script, but of course we do preparation as well. It's a lie if I don't say I do preparation. 50% of the thoughts on the way here. Of course, there are some thoughts in my head when it comes to talking. So you need to prepare 50%. I don't believe in 100% spontaneity. 100% spontaneity is actually stupidity. Yeah, because you make yourself look stupid when you're not unprepared for some things. But 50%, and then the balance 50% is where you navigate. You know the movement and all that. You ask any dancer, they will do the same thing. I know 50% of the step, and then the rest I will improvise and modify. Yeah, but preparation must be done as well. Yeah, because otherwise, if everybody comes with a spontaneous reaction, then you ask the electrician, can you come down and do my wires? And see how many people die.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. So we'll have a good discussion today, conversation. We hope to have you back and get involved with some of the initiatives that we are doing.
Okay.
Not only the podcast, but the things that we are initiating outside here with the fathers as well.
Okay, so the next time I think you start the microphone, we'll end off next month. I won't stop talking.
Yeah, we'll prepare coffee.